Okay, welcome to this next interview session. This time we're talking about AutoSAR and specifically the RTOP modeling open source AutoSAR project. Our guest is Stephan Eberle from Genesys. So Stephan, hi.
Hi Markus. Hi.
So, I could be worse. So please introduce yourself briefly to the audience.
Yeah, my name is Stephan Eberle. I'm working for the company Genesys. It's a French-based company which is active in the embedded sector. So that means we are providing embedded engineering services, developing embedded software, but we are also having quite a lot of engineering tools which are used for developing embedded systems. And part of these tools are engineering tools for AutoSAR, namely the AutoSAR builder. And what we have taken as initiative from the beginning of this year on is to cut off a part of the basic parts, the foundation of our AutoSAR builder tooling, and in order to put it into an open source project, which is now has been just launched under the name RTOP.
Okay, so RTOP or RTOP?
ARTOP.
Oh. Okay, so I was wrong. ARTOP. Okay, so before we talk about that, what is AutoSAR?
AutoSAR is a really interesting initiative across the whole automotive industry, which has the objective to standardize or to define a common architecture for all electronic control unit software. This has been necessary in order to for multiple reasons. One of the major problems was in the past that everybody who was contributing a piece of embedded software or embedded function was shipping his own electronic control units. So car manufacturers were faced with the problem that in the end they had to integrate up to 60, 80 different electronic control units. And even though each control unit was working probably without any problems by the supplier, once integrating them together, problems came up and delays have been caused and so on.
So AutoSAR is a standard for enterprise integration in the car.
One can say that, put it that way, yes.
And the funny thing is, although this comparison might sound stupid, the complexity of the in-vehicle software is probably in the same order of magnitude as for an enterprise. I mean, there are several gigabytes of source code or of object code or of software running in a car, and there are, as you said, 60, 70, 80 ECUs, little computers, and they have to run quality of service, real-time stuff. So it's quite non-trivial.
Yeah, exactly. So it's definitely really a complex system. There are some specific flavors in the automotive sector, especially in terms of real-time. If you're thinking of motor control, then you have a real-time requirements which are ranging the order of magnitude of microseconds, and this would be one thing which is different from enterprise applications. But apart from these details, the complexity in terms of complexity, it's pretty much the same. And the big challenge is that complexity in the automotive sector is not stopping from increasing. It's going forward and will be get even higher.
Right. So let's talk about RTOP a little bit. Is it let's say just one open source implementation, or is it a kind of reference implementation for AutoSAR?
But it's somewhere in between. So right now it has been just an implementation of the AutoSAR standard. So one of the biggest part is obviously an implementation of the AutoSAR meta model. The AutoSAR meta model is the format behind the XML descriptions which are exchanged between automotive manufacturer and suppliers. And these descriptions help to better integrate software components coming from different origins. And so these descriptions has to be processed by the computer, and this is done by establishing an in-memory model based on the meta model and so on. And so this is one of the biggest part in the current RTOP release. And we have some more components which are dealing with workspace management, because typically you don't have just one AutoSAR XML file but multiple files which reference each other. So they have components like that.
Right. So so you don't yet, at least, you don't provide nice graphical editors that support the AutoSAR standard modeling language. It's basically about model description, serialization, deserialization, loading, model exchange, that kind of stuff.
We already have some graphical components already in RTOP, because we said, okay, it's nice if you can load and serialize AutoSAR models, if you can validate them and manage them in the workspace, but you also want to see them finally. And so we added some components which enable you to create Explorer based views, so tree-based views of AutoSAR modules.
Yeah, I don't call tree-based graphical, but okay.
Anyway, and some basic frameworks for building model-based editors. and also to inspect and modify the details of models in the Eclipse properties used.
So you already said Eclipse a couple of times. RTOP is based on Eclipse and Eclipse modeling framework and stuff.
Exactly.
That's why you're here.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's having that interview at Eclipse Summit Europe 2008.
Right. So how can people participate if they want to participate?
So if they want to participate, they can go to atop.org. So there's a website which has been launched together with the release, so with the code. And before all, they have to be an AutoSAR member.
So it's only open source within the AutoSAR community.
Exactly. So this is also the reason why RTOP has not been launched as an Eclipse project as many others. It wasn't possible because everything is restricted by AutoSAR IP protection. So this has forced us to create a separate project. This is the only reason one. But once you're AutoSAR members, or to all those who are AutoSAR members, the project presents itself in very much the same way as an Eclipse project does to the Eclipse community. So basically, Eclipse has been the template for us for launching this project. And if you look at the software license, for the same reason as I've already explained, we also have our own software license, RTOP software license for release material. Right. But it's pretty much based on the Eclipse public license. We even copied code from the Eclipse public license after having asked Mike that he agrees, of course.
Okay, then Stephan, thank you very much for doing this interview here so people know a little bit more about these two things.
Thank you too.